Imagine spending your whole day chasing an animal. You track it for hours. You crawl through grass, you throw your spear with everything you have, and it gets away. Now you have to walk back to camp, empty-handed, and tell everyone there's no meat tonight. What actually happened next? Not in movies, in real life tens of thousands of years ago. That's the question we're answering today. Here's the first thing most people get wrong. They picture Stone Age life as constant hunting, spears flying, big dramatic kills. But hunting large animals was incredibly hard. And based on studies of hunter-gatherer groups that anthropologists have observed in more recent times, even skilled hunters often came home with nothing, not once in a while, regularly. Some weeks, most hunts failed. So here's the real question. If hunting failed that often, how did anyone survive? The answer is something most people never learn in school. Hunting wasn't actually the main source of food for most Stone Age groups. Gathering was. Plants, roots, nuts, berries, insects, shellfish when they lived near water. This work was steady. It didn't depend on an animal cooperating, and it was usually done by different members of the group than the hunters. So when a hunt failed, it wasn't a total disaster. There was usually still something to eat that night, just not meat. But here's where things get more interesting. Meat mattered for more than just calories. It had fat, and fat was precious. If people ate only lean meat with no fat at all, they could actually get sick from it. Some researchers call this rabbit starvation, because rabbit meat is very lean. Your body needs fat to survive, and too much protein without it can be dangerous. So a failed hunt wasn't just about missing a meal. It was about missing something the body genuinely needed. Now imagine this happening again and again. A string of failed hunts wasn't rare. Bad weather could scatter animals. Herds could migrate somewhere else. An injury could take a hunter out of action for weeks. And there was no freezer, no stored surplus sitting in a warehouse. Whatever they didn't eat today was mostly gone tomorrow, unless it could be dried or smoked. So what did people actually do when this kept happening? This is where something surprising shows up. Anthropologists have found that hunter-gatherer groups had a very specific cultural rule around meat. When someone made a kill, they didn't keep it for themselves. They shared it. Widely. Sometimes with strict, almost ceremonial rules about who got which part. At first, that might sound like generosity, but it was actually something smarter. It was insurance. Think about it this way. If every hunter only ate what he personally killed, then a bad week for you meant starvation for you. But if meat was shared across the whole group, then one hunter's bad luck was covered by someone else's good luck. Today you have nothing. Tomorrow, someone else fails, and you're the one who succeeded. The group survives the ups and downs together. This wasn't an accident. It was a system, built directly around the fact that hunts failed constantly. But sharing inside one group wasn't the only safety net. There's one detail most people don't know. Many hunter-gatherer bands stayed connected to other bands, often through marriage. If your local group ran into a truly bad stretch, no food, failed hunts, an area picked clean, you could travel and stay with relatives in another band, people you were connected to through family ties, sometimes living a long walk away. So a failed hunt wasn't just handled in the moment. It was handled by relationships built years in advance, a kind of backup plan, made of people instead of stored food. And when things got really bad, when gathering and hunting both came up short for too long, the evidence gets darker. Archaeologists studying ancient human bones have found something called Harris lines. These are marks that form in bone when growth is interrupted, usually because the body wasn't getting enough food. Finding these lines in ancient skeletons tells us something we can't get from any story or legend. Real people, sometimes children, went through real periods of hunger. This wasn't just an occasional bad day. For some groups, in some seasons, it was survival on the edge. So here's where all of this leads. A single failed hunt was rarely a catastrophe on its own. It was expected, planned around, absorbed by the group. The real danger came when failures piled up, season after season, with nowhere left to turn. And that's really the answer to our question. What happened when a hunt failed wasn't really about the hunt at all. It was about everything built around it. The gathering, the sharing, the far-off relatives who might take you in. Stone Age humans didn't just survive because they were strong or fast or good with a spear. They survived because failure was expected, and they built their entire way of life to survive it anyway. Maybe that's the real Stone Age invention worth remembering. Not the spear, not the fire, but the idea that no one had to survive a bad day alone.